I lost count to how many hours I spent scrolling through lists of top 25 video games, attempting to decide what to play next. It usually feels like you want to explore something new, as most of the mainstream games everyone is talking about suddenly seem too similar. Or maybe you're playing a Souls game and got tired of dying, so you want something less challenging on the side. Or you played a game you loved so much but finished while still hungry for more, so you start looking for similar games or even rip-offs, which usually ends in disappointment. That's exactly why I decided to start this Hidden Gem series. In each episode, I'm going to share with you a few great titles you might have missed or never even heard about that are totally worth the shot. And if possible, I'll tell you this game is suitable if you're a fan of that other well-known franchise. This is probably going to be an ongoing series through which I share with you my most recent findings. Without further ado, let's get directly into our first game, Jusant. And I do hope I pronounced that right since the name is very obviously French. Jusant, a French nautical term for a receding tide. But nope, don't get any ideas, it has nothing to do with sailing. On the contrary, the formula is pretty simple. See that mountain? Climb to the top. That's it, no enemies, no skill trees, just enjoy the ambience and climb to the top. Jusant's gameplay is not complicated. Choose your direction with the left stick, left trigger is left hand grip, right trigger is right hand grip, with a little bit of stamina management when it comes to the occasional leap you make. It's easy enough to offer a relaxing experience, but it's not so easy it feels like a game for children. Progressing upwards felt great despite not really being so challenging. Jusant is a 4-hour experience which I find mostly unreplayable, but knows very well when to end, feeling like a fulfilling experience that never overstayed its welcome. Especially with the masterfully crafted ending that sort of reminded me of the same charm I get from games like Ori and the Blind Forest. I haven't seen any other game centered solely around climbing, but I can say for those who are after a relaxing mountain climbing expedition, Jusant is definitely worth your time. Next up, we've got SteamWorld Deck 2, a side-scroller I played with zero knowledge of. I didn't even know it was a side-scroller until I first tried it myself. And back then I thought I would only play for 30 minutes at most before uninstalling, but to my surprise I stuck around until I saw the credits roll. Not just that, I also checked out the original SteamWorld Dig. I still wanted more. However, I didn't play the original for some reason I will mention shortly. So SteamWorld Deck 2 is an action-adventure set in a world that gives off heavy Oddworld vibes. At least it did for me. It's a Metroidvania where you explore the underground, except you dig your own way downwards, taking multiple factors into consideration such as light, how risky it is to proceed with that much treasures you're carrying that you would lose upon dying, and how the hell would you possibly get back up, until you unlock fast travel at least. You also unlock a handful of skills and gadgets throughout your 8-hour playthrough that keeps both traversal and combat fresh, rewarding, and generally fun. Also, besides upgrading your health, pickaxe, and gadgets, you can unlock and equip a set of perks to suit your playstyle. Breaking through the tile you used to strike 4 times in a single swing with your upgraded pickaxe was a simple but great joy. What I loved the most about SteamWorld Deck 2 isn't just that the world design was unique, but the fact that it's all handcrafted, which is very noticeable in the quality of each area you explore. That was also the reason I wasn't that excited to give the original SteamWorld Dig a shot. The world has some randomization to it, which I'm not really a big fan of. I would recommend SteamWorld Deck 2 for Metroidvania fans who are looking for a break from dying. Seriously, if you wanna die, just go play Blasphemous or something. Minecraft people might dig it too, no pun intended, but keep in mind that this is all about digging and nothing about building. There's a SteamWorld build game as well, but it's a different kind of build. This brings us to the final entry on my list for today, which is Eastward. A top-down action-adventure that puts you in the shoes of a homeless-looking bearded guy called, you guessed it, John, and his daughter who is not really his daughter. Don't worry, it's not a spoiler, the game lets you know from the get-go. You will spend the majority of your roughly 20-hour journey, yes, it is 20 hours long, between a variety of exploration, talking to NPCs, smacking monsters with a frying pan, smacking bosses with the same frying pan, solving puzzles, and if you're a fan of turn-based RPGs like Dragon Quest or Earthbound, playing the arcade game Earthborn, which is almost long enough to be a standalone game for the Game Boy. Eastward does its best to keep things fresh for the entire run, by introducing new weapons, gadgets, interesting characters, along with a constant change of scenery, and a pretty interesting story. The art style changes dramatically between gameplay and cutscenes, but in a good way as both of them offered a different yet welcome kind of charm. So, a top-down action-adventure throwing some sort of slime at you as the first enemy, and gives you the gadget you will abuse to beat the boss 15 minutes right before the fight. Ring any bells? Because if it doesn't...
Excuse me!
If you're a fan of the classical Zelda formula used in titles like Minish Cap, A Link to the Past, and the most recent one, Link's Awakening, and would like to see a modernized take on the genre in a world other than Hyrule, Eastward is certainly the game for you. As a fan of The Legend of Zelda, I can shamelessly admit that Eastward surpassed Zelda in terms of storytelling, and well, it doesn't exactly tell you to collect these 8 items to reach the final boss. It follows a far less monotonic formula that gives it a character of its own. This brings us to the end of our video today. If it helped you pick your next game or addressed the game you love that deserves more attention, shoot me a subscribe. If you tried any of these games or want me to talk about any other game, leave me a comment. Thank you for sticking around till the end. Adios!